This is the Kohler Kingston Ultra, a toilet that's been around since 2019. It's definitely been becoming more and more common as time goes on. Is it worth buying one of these? Well, we're going to find out today. Let's begin with the overall design of this toilet. There's really not much to cover considering it's a wall-mounted commercial toilet, but you can see some aspects of the trapway right there. It's a little bit weird, not going to lie. Bottom portion definitely looks a bit odd, but not much to see besides that. Got some accents on the back here, very similar to the 1.28 gallon Kohler Kingston, the current one. And there's the trapway opening. I've kind of said this before and I'll say again, I do not like that opening. It is ugly to look at, but I guess I got kind of more used to it as time goes on. The ball itself, pretty standard, not much to go over here. The rim jets are actually kind of angled. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it is a nice touch. So let's get a look at a flush. That's a typical 1.28 gallon flush, but let's kind of make it more 1.6, because that's what I'm going to really base this toilet off of, not 1.28. The flush itself is pretty standard and not really much to write home about. You can tell it's the design to go more straight down, but there are some aspects of swirling a little bit, but not that much. The angled rim jets definitely do help out with ball runs compared to the more standard 1.28 gallon Kohler Kingston that we have nowadays, which tends to go straight down and so do the rim jets. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the angled jets on these are actually pretty nice for ball runs, though I can definitely tell there might be some flaws here and there. We'll watch it again. Also tell there's a little bit of a defect back here with this one, which is pretty interesting. There are some aspects I do like about this toilet besides some of the weirder choices of designs here. While the opening does look a bit compact, it seems to perform pretty well from what I've seen so far. I've used several of these, never really had a problem. Though I don't know how well that's going to age though. I mean, we all saw what happened with the regular 1.28 gallon Kohler Kingston, and that thing became an utter disaster, but we'll cover it when the time comes. I still don't really like the design of the inner bowl, especially the shape right here just looks weird, but it does seem to hold up pretty well. I have yet to see these clogged. Overall, these seem to hold up pretty well so far, and hopefully I don't have to do another review explaining the downfall of this model right here. Just hoping it stays perfectly fine for now. But that will kind of conclude it. There's not really much to talk about since this is a Flushometer toilet. What you see is what you get, and there's not really much I can really explain or really show off of these. But now it's time to grade it. While wall-hung bowls will definitely get a lower score in design choices, I definitely have a lot to say and praise about the Kohler Kingston Ultra. It has a very interesting design. While I thought it was weird at first, I definitely grew to like it. It's definitely a very cool design. I definitely like how they incorporated the passages in the overall design as well, considering that most wall-mounted balls tend to hide the trapway passages sometimes. It's actually kind of a cool design, but the highest I can give it is a 6 after all, considering it's just the ball. The quality control of these definitely seem to be improved compared to the prior two generations of Kingston, though I definitely wouldn't say it's perfect, as there are some chances that you'll get defective rim jets, but definitely not as common as you might think. It just happens to be this one that has a defective jet, but definitely improved and it gets a 7. If I have to give credit to the Kingston Ultra and even the regular 1.28 gallon Kohler Kingston, the consistency is pretty great. What you see advertised on Kohler is what you get most of the time. I have yet to see any weird defects with the trapway opening or the ball itself, which is very impressive. Obviously, you might want to consider the defective rim jets every once in a while, but overall, the design is pretty consistent to what you see on Kohler's site. It gets a 9. The trapway passages themselves are perfectly fine, nothing too out of the ordinary, but the opening itself might prove to be a slight problem. It is just tight. Not only that, it just looks ugly. I've had that opinion since I first saw this toilet, and I still have it to this very day. I just do not like the opening style. It's just very ugly. And even disregarding that, it's just a tight looking opening. I might see some problems down the road with this, but hopefully that's not the case. But at this point, I'm going to have to give the Trapway a 4. The flush itself is nothing to really write home about. However, I do like the effect that it kind of incorporates a swirl. While it's not meant to swirl around the bowl, it does have a slight swirl to where it can actually get some rinse and stuff. But besides that, the flush itself is kind of generic. But due to the swirliness, it gets a 5. The pull and siphon so far seem to be alright. Nothing too out of the ordinary. It gets the job done. Maybe the occasional shred here or there, but so far, I've rarely seen these shred, but that might change in the future. For now, it gets a 6. Disregarding my concern about the opening being a little bit tight, so far these seem to be the best performing toilets out there for the modern day. Is it perfect? No, you might eventually see one clog down the road, but for now these actually seem to be holding up pretty well, even though these have only been out for a few years and they're only now starting to kind of pop up more and more. Let's just hope that that doesn't change. We do not want to have another 1.28 gallon Kohler Kingston disaster on our hands. Hopefully Kohler learned from that, but we never know. At the end of the day, it's Kohler. And even though it might seem like they learn one day, they still do the same mistakes over and over again. Reintroduction of the realm of light trapway openings. But for now, these seem to be holding up pretty well. Let's just hope that stays that way. For now, it gets a 7. The ballroom seems to be perfectly fine for now. However, I feel like it might get a little worse down the road, as these are still kind of coming out nowadays. It's still better than the 2 prior generations of Kingston, and definitely better than the Welcome and Highcliff Ultras, though that ain't really saying much. The angled rim joints definitely do help out with the rinse a little bit. However, considering that these are going to be constantly used, I don't know how well that's going to hold up. For now, I'm going to give it a 5. While these have been out for only 4 years, I can definitely see the survivability of these toilets being pretty strong, which is pretty nice. That's exactly what you want. Especially considering the regular 1.28 gallon Kingstons were an absolute disaster. And I'm already starting to see some of them get replaced already, which is embarrassing. But these actually are holding up pretty well, and hopefully that stays the same. It gets a 7. Now let's talk about the overall value of the Kohler Kingston Ultra. And even though it's only been out for 4 years, so far I've been kind of impressed with these. Is it the best toilet ever made? No. No, it's not. Not even close. But compared to most of the other garbage wall mount toilets today, this is definitely one of the better Flushometer toilets for the wall hung side of things. The overall value of these tend to go for around $150 and might be a little bit more or less depending on where you get it. And this is just considering the bowl, mind you. But at the end of the day, I definitely think the value is worth it. If you're looking for a commercial toilet that will do its job perfectly well and you're considering wall hung toilets, the Kohler Kingston Ultra is the first thing I would recommend to anyone buying. It's definitely worth the money. Let's just hope these don't age poorly over time like the regular 1.28 gallon Kohler Kingstons. We do not need another dumpster fire on our hands. But for now, I am very impressed with this toilet. The value gets a 7. With that said, the final score of the Kohler Kingston Ultra is a 63 out of 100. Is this toilet perfect? No. But compared to the other modern garbage made today, this is one of the better wall-mounted Flushometer toilets to get nowadays. Not only is this toilet cheap to get, but the qualities are there. Some might be lacking compared to others, but compared to most crap made today, the quality is definitely there in this toilet. And let's hope it stays that way for the years to come.